And welcome back. As we continue to develop our techniques for working with pixel art, we're going to continue working here in our 8x8 image space, so 8 pixels by 8 pixels. But I'm going to first start off today's lesson by giving you a couple techniques for quickly filling in an image. So for example, here I have a white background. Now Photoshop has a couple of tools that can help you fill this in really quickly. We already know, for example, we can increase our brush size, for example, to fill in an image really quickly. So if I'm on my brush size, we can adjust this, make it really big, and say, oh, yep, there it is, it's filled in. But if we don't want to do that, all right, or same thing with my eraser tool. If I don't want to have my eraser tool really large, I have the option to actually go in to edit, and there's a thing right here called fill. Now, if you'll notice, there are a couple options here: background, foreground, color, content aware, etc. But for example, let's say I want to fill this in with white, I can drop right down to white and click OK, and it will fill that completely in with white for me. If I wanted that to be filled with black, because maybe I want to start with a black background, I can do that as well, and it will fill it in. Now, if we had, let's say, a different foreground color here, let's say we had red, all right, and I want to fill this in with red, you'll also notice that there's an option to come in here and fill, and I can fill with the foreground or background color. If I choose foreground color, you'll see that we are now red. Pretty cool. I'm just going to go ahead and reset this to our default black and white by clicking right there. And let's go ahead and reset this to be filled with white. All right. So now, of course, we are reset to our image. Now, one thing you will notice as I start working in today's images, I don't know if I pointed out to you, but it's always good to kind of get an idea of something for us. So as I start filling in these images, you will notice over here in our layers panel, we have a small thumbnail, small preview window of what our images look like. Now, obviously, we are working 8x8, and this is zoomed in quite a bit. And if I look down here, it says 640%, or excuse me, 6,400%. And so this right here is a lot closer to the 8x8 image of how it would actually look. But we're not going to worry about that too much right now at our 8x8 scale. But when we start working with larger images, this can be really handy to kind of keep track of where we're working with in our image, or what that image is looking like in that layer. So let's go ahead and just reset this real quick. I'm just going to switch to my eraser tool, just erase these out real quick. And I want us to get into the idea of being able to use things such as references. Not everyone has necessarily a strong artistic background, and that's okay when we're working with things such as pixel art or 2D animations, because you don't necessarily have to conform to one art style or another. So for this example, I'm going to look at this bowling ball that I found online. So this is just a bowling ball, something pretty simple, right? We have a circular shape right here to represent the bowling ball, and then we have 3 smaller circles inside of it. So if I want to represent that here within my existing canvas, let's go ahead and try to paint ourselves a bowling ball. So similar to how we did before, I'm going to go ahead, start off by trying to make a circular shape. Open this up a little bit, make it more round. All right. Switching back to my brush tool, I'm now going to add those 3 dots. And I have myself a bowling ball. Pretty simple and straightforward. We can do reference images to create other images as well. So for example, let's say I want to create another 8x8 image. And if I have a reference image, I could, for example, go and create something that could be along the same vein as this. So maybe let's say I want to make a trophy to represent that bowling is a championship. So I can make a trophy that goes real quickly, and while it may not necessarily look as great up here in this super zoomed out detail, again, you look at this thumbnail here, you could argue, yeah, this kind of looks like a trophy that is being awarded. Just like if I look at the thumbnail of our bowling ball, you can see that looks more like a bowling ball at that zoom level. Let's just make one more real quick. Let's just make a real quick, kind of a crude looking person here. So let's just go ahead and just do kind of a circular head. Maybe I'll just do something a little more like this. And let's give him a neck. Maybe a little bit for legs. There's their arm. And you can see here's our very crude, really quickly drawn person. Again, 8 by 8, you don't have a ton of detail that you have to work with. However, the nice thing about working with these 8 by 8 images is that you're starting to get those skills honed in. And again, if we look at our reference images, these can be really helpful for us who don't have a strong artistic background. Because we can look and say, hey, you know what, this is a circle right here. Okay, so I need to start with a circular shape. And oh, I need to have 3 holes here to represent a bowling ball. 1, 2, 3. Simple as that. Same thing with the trophy. We can say, hey, okay, we have this, half circle up here at the top. We have the kind of the stem of the trophy, and then we have the base. And then lastly, we look, here's our person. You can see we got a little bit of hair, we got the head, we got their arms, body, and some legs. So, again, something super simple, quick, and easy to do. My challenge for you, though, is to go ahead, find those reference images, and create your own 3 images that you can use 8 by 8 to create your very first pixel art. Time to start flexing that creative muscle just a little bit, and let's see what you can create.